With such a great tapestry of experiences, Ai Zhen found herself being asked to preach and share her story. She found this difficult.
The biggest challenge I faced in God's ministry is preaching in the pulpit. I'm an introvert and I did not know how to communicate with others. I cannot express myself well, and I do not have the gift of preaching. I knew that God has given me gifts of service, such as taking care of others, to care for others, show sympathy, and comfort others. But I knew I did not have the gift of preaching. The first time I spoke in a public was in 1953. At that time, there was a spiritual revival meeting for the youth in Shanghai. I was asked to give a 20 minutes testimony. The Lord opened my mouth and I gave a testimony. Many people were touched. I thank God for giving me ability to speak and giving me courage to be able to speak.
Although not trained as a theologian, she had a rich experience to share and a large capacity for showing compassion for others.
I did not know how to preach about theology, but I preached about what I learned through my Christian experience, and many people were touched by my sermon. After preaching, many people will approach me and share their problem with me. Because I am a woman, and most of members are women, and they feel comfortable to talk to me about their problems. And we talk about everything and very freely, and they trust me and they love me.
Ai Zhen has led a very large number of people to Jesus by establishing friendships and meeting people's needs before inviting them to join with small communities of believers meeting in homes in the area, what the Chinese call house churches.
Most of the members in house churches were women. Their age was between 35 to 80. In 10 years, I established more than 10 house churches. There were 2 house churches were very big. It has more than 200 people.
As she encountered needs, Ai Zhen organized the women in the house churches to meet those needs.
I divided members in the house churches into groups. Each group, I assign a person to be in charge. So each week on Saturday, they have worship. I also organized different groups, such as a visitation group, a service group, to visit the sick. Each member donate 1 to 5 yuan every month, so that we have this money when we visit the sick.
When Ai Zhen and her husband moved to the suburbs, there were no Adventists living in their area.
I'm living in suburban. When I first moved there, there was no Adventist members, only my husband and I. Later, I heard from a Sunday pastor. He told me, "You live in suburban. In your place, there are 2 members from our Sunday church." So we visited these 2 members. They were a mother, more than 90 years old, and a son, more than 50 years old, with a falling sickness. So we started to study Bible with them at their home. After we studied for 1 year, the worship place moved into my home, and I started to teach about the doctrine regarding the Sabbath. So at first, only 1 or 2 worshipped at my home, then slowly grew until 30, and my home couldn't accommodate anymore. Then we rented a place to worship. Now, our church has almost 200 members. As the members grow, we need a big church, and we thank God that the local government approved our request to allow us to build a church. So now we have the permission already. So next year we will be able to build a church.
Ai Zhen's effectiveness is widely acknowledged today in China, where women have had an important role in sustaining and building the church.
I don't think there's any work in God's ministry that only men can do, but women cannot do. In my experience, that God has given gifts to both men and women. Once God gives gifts to women, women also can do the things that a man can do. In the church in China, many women are elders, and in some places, some women are pastors.
This woman, small of stature but tall in the strength of her Lord, has won hundreds of souls for Christ and has ministered generously to their needs. Her exceptional life is a testimony to what God can do even with a painfully shy young woman. Although many of her life experiences have been traumatic, she speaks constantly of the blessings God has showered on her.
I have learned how to trust God and how to rejoice in the Lord, even though I face difficulties.